I'm Betty Puspasari with the number study 227030. Now I'm gonna review my top 5 short story. These are the titles of the stories. Please pause if you want to read it. Now let's jump to the first short story. It's The Voice of the City by O. Henry. And these are the characters. The story talks about the narrator embarks on the quest to discover the voice of New York City by talking to various people. The narrator first approached Aurelia, a young woman in a white dress, asking what she believes the city's voice is. She dismisses the idea with humor and says that all cities have the same thing. Unconvinced, the narrator continues his search and asks bartender Billy Magnus about the city's message. Billy, preoccupied with serving customers, doesn't offer a meaningful response. Next, the narrator speaks to a policeman, hoping that someone who witnessed the city's activity firsthand might have insight. But the officer is more focused on personal matters and offers no profound answers. The narrator then asks a musician named Bill, but the musician offers no helpful response as well. Disappointed, the narrator asks a young newsboy, the boy more concerned about earning money for his sister's birthday present, dismisses the questions as nonsense. Frustrated, the narrator returns to the park to think, and suddenly the answer comes to him. He rushes back to Aurelia, filled with the realization. As they sit together in the silence, their hands touch, and the simple connection is the revelations. The narrator realizes that the true voice of the city is not found in noise, but in the quiet moments of human connections. This story captures the paradox of life in the bustling metropolis. While everyone seems busy with their individual lives and preoccupations, to me, when the narrator searches for the voice of New York City is a beautiful metaphor for anyone seeking meaning in a place filled with countless overlapping lives. It highlights the narrator's search for the city's voice through various characters and interactions. This difference highlights how cities can seem both full of life, as everyone pursues their own version of happiness or survival. This short story is very easy to understand and not mainstream, suitable for you who like simple reading. Next, the second story is The Golden Windows, with a little boy as main character, the boy's father and mother, a little girl, and her mother. The story talks about a little boy from a poor farming family who works hard all day but enjoys an hour of free time each evening. During this hour, he climbs a hill near his home and gazes at the distant house on another hill, which appear to have golden windows that shine brightly at sunset. The boy imagines that its owners must be wealthy unlike his own family. One day, his father gives him a day off, encouraging him to use it well, so the boy sets out to find the house. Along the way, he enjoys the natural beauty around him. After walking for a long time, he finally reaches the house on the hill. To his disappointment, the windows are not golden. A kind woman greets him and offers him milk and a cake. She explains that they are just poor farmers and that their windows are plain like everyone else. She calls her daughter and he befriends her doctor, who shows him around the farm. The girl then leads him up a nearby hill, pointing to a distant house with windows shining like golden and diamonds, his own home seen from afar. The boy realized the beauty he admired was actually his own, and he feels a profound sense of gratitude. They exchange small gifts, and he promises to visit again. When he finally returns home at dusk, he is greeted warmly by his family, realizing that his home has its own golden glow. To me, the story emphasizes how both the boy and the girl initially romanticize something they don't have, only to realize that what they possess is already golden in its own way. The story's lesson is about the value of appreciating one's own life. The golden window symbolizes the allure of distant dreams or unattainable desires, highlighting the deeper philosophical lesson about happiness and fulfillment. Overall, it's a straightforward recounting of a simple yet profound moral story. The third story is An Angel in Disguise by T.S. Arthur, with Maggie as the main character, her sister and brother, with their foster parents. The story begins with the tragic death due to alcoholism in front of her frightened children. Her death transformed the villagers' initially disdain into pity, prompting discussion about the fate of her three children. John, the oldest, is taken by a farmer, and Kate is adopted by a woman looking for a girl to help her at home. However, no one wants the youngest Maggie, who is bedridden due to a spiral injury. As the villagers suggest sending Maggie to the poorhouse, Joe Thompson, a wheelwright, decides to take Maggie home. His wife, Jane, is initially resistant to the idea, expressing anger and concern about the burden Maggie represents. Joe believes that they can offer the child kindness for just one night, referencing the biblical teachings about caring for children. When Jane reluctantly meets Maggie, her demeanor begins to soften. As the days pass, Jane finds joy and purpose in caring for the sick child, which rekindles warmth in her heart that had long been absent. Joe too experiences a newfound happiness in his home as Maggie's presence brings light and love into their lives. In the end, instead of sending Maggie away, Jane and Joe embrace her as part of their family, illustrating how compassion can transform lives and heal wounds. I think the transformations of Joe Thompson's character from a man initially reluctant to care for Maggie to someone who discovers the beauty in helping others is portrayed with the emotional depth of the original story. It highlights the contrast between the heartlessness of the villagers and the quiet empathy of Joe and his wife. The religious symbolism of Maggie as an angel in disguise, bringing love and healing to the Thompsons, and genuine kindness can change lives in unexpected way. Okay, next, 11 Years of Hope with Alexander as the main character and the doctor. The story follows Alexander, a war veteran who suffers from severe level 3 mental trauma after stepping on a landmine 11 years ago. He has been confined to an institution ever since, where he has lost a crucial part of himself. When doctors offer him the chance to try a new experimental treatment, Alexander agrees, hoping it might help him recover what he lost. The story juxtaposes his present journey to the testing lab with memories of his childhood and the war, highlighting his feelings of loss and disconnections. As they drive through the city and countryside, Alexander reflects on his past, his time in the war, and the futility of his sacrifice. The doctor eventually reveals that the treatment's animal tests weren't as successful as promised, and some subjects died. Despite the risk, Alexander agrees to proceed with the experiments, believing it might help him regain what he's lost, whether in life or death. The story ends on a note of hope and acceptance as Alexander raises his face to the sky, ready for whatever comes next. He feels at peace as if his God is smiling on him and contemplates the he feels at peace as if his God is smiling on him and contemplates the possibility of finding his missing piece. In my argument, it captures the essence of Alexander's journey as a character grappling with the trauma of war and the loss of a part of himself. Both physically and emotionally, the narrative effectively communicates the surreal, somewhat dystopian environment of a veteran in an institution, willing to undergo experimental treatments to regain what he has lost. Overall, it conveys the emotional weight and complexity of the story. Move to the last story, The Selfish Giant, with absolutely giants as the main character and the children. The story follows a selfish giant who owns a beautiful garden where children love to play. After returning from a long trip, the giant angrily chases the children away and builds a high wall around the garden, forbidding anyone else to enter. Without the children, spring never comes to his garden, which remains draped in perpetual winter, with only snow, frost, and north wind for company. The giant grows lonely and puzzled until one morning he hears birds singing and finds that the children have snuck back in through a hole in the wall. The garden blooms with life, except for one spot where a small boy stands crying. Unable to climb a tree, the giant's heart softens. He helps the boy into the tree, which immediately blossoms. Touched, the giant realizes his selfishness and knocks down the wall, allowing the children to play freely. Year by year pass, and the giant grows old, cherishing the joy the children bring to his garden. To the longs to see the little boy again. One winter morning, he sees a tree covered in white blossoms, and the little boy standing beneath it. Rushing to greet him, the giant noticed nail marks on the child's hand and feet. The boy explains they are wounds of love and tells the giant that he will now join him in paradise. Later, the children find the giant lying peacefully beneath the tree, surrounded by white blossoms. Okay, this story highlights the moral journey of the giant, who moves from selfishness and isolation to kindness and generosity. The vivid imagery of the garden reflecting the giant's heart and its transformation through the children's presence is well illustrated. The additions of the mysterious child with his symbolic wound of love adds a deeper layer of spiritual and moral reflection. That's all my review. Thanks for watching. See you. Bye bye.